Thank you for browsing page 121, and let's take a look at a Dragon magazine. This is quickly becoming the most popular segment on my channel. The last one got over 3,000 views, which really shocked me. For my channel, that's just tremendous. I realized it was probably just YouTube playing with the algorithm a little bit, but still, it felt good to get a lot of views. Views have been lean in the last few months, and I like when the one hits. So we get the Toad's Cloak Armor Smith. We get a nice look there. Guy wearing blue jeans. I was never a huge fan. I mean, it's a very nice cover, but I've never been a huge fan of modern looks on Dragon covers. Just my preference. So we take a look in here. Inside we see Talisman, the Magical Quest game. And this is Thrills and Spells. Who brought us Talisman? Doesn't really say. Talisman, it's just a board game. Those became popular in the mid-'80s in attachment D&D, but by themselves too. I think Trivial Pursuit helped push that a little bit. And then we got a nice ad for Iron Crown Classic Fantasy Role-Playing System, Rollmaster. If you want rules, Rollmaster is for you. Then we get the table of contents, and then the editorial and letters to the editor. Some interesting tips in here. I've had a request or two to take a deeper look at these. I might do them as separate videos. I'm not going to do them during a Dragon overview. And then continuing on with our editorial. And then we have the official AD&D Battle System Fantasy Combat Supplement. This is Battle System Volume 1. Not a fan. I had it. I played it. It didn't play very well. Battle System 2, on the other hand, I'm a big fan of. Dungeons & Dragons set number 3, Companion Rules from TSR. This is when there were a couple of different versions of D&D out there. There's AD&D and then basic D&D. And then we get the forum, which is basically more letters to the editor. We get the Game Town, everything in games and puzzles. And these are guys were in San Diego, California. I don't know if they're still around or not, but let me know. And then, of course, Science Fiction Book Club, in and out of this thing several times. Yours free with membership, the Dragon Riders of Pern. All kinds of good stuff. I got a lot of books from Science Fiction Book Club over the years. Demi-Humans Get a Lift. The last word on level limits and abilities. This was nice. This was a real close preview. This is in March of '85. This is a preview for Unearthed Arcana. And Unearthed Arcana, of course, came out July, August of '85. And this was another look at some of the stuff they were going to be putting in. This is by Gary Gygax. It was pretty neat. And then we get the film survey update about the Dungeons & Dragons film they were trying to make in the mid-'80s. It didn't happen. We'd have to wait another 15 years to get that first masterpiece. Air quotes on the masterpiece. Silver Dawn, $5,000 quest tournament out of Pleasant, Charlotte, North Carolina. You can enter the richest tournament in history. I wonder how this ever played out. I don't know. Play by mail. Games Workshop presents Golden Heroes. Games GW, the Warhammer people, they got into making a superhero game because those were very popular in the mid-'80s. And then the Second Citadel Compendium. They're out of Columbia, Maryland. The influence of J.R.R. Tolkien on the D&D and AD&D games. Why Middle-earth is not part of the game world. The one-word answer to that, of course, is copyright. TSR had a lot of problems with the Tolkien estate early on because of basically saying that they lifted Lord of the Rings. Don't turn out the lights. Chill is here. Terror was never this much fun. From Pace Setter Games out of Delavan, Wisconsin. And then continuing on our article about how D&D is not taken from Tolkien. Haven't you heard? A $10 lifetime membership fee can buy games and accessories at fabulous discounts through the Guild of Adventure Gaming out of Kenwood, Michigan. Wonder if that was worth it. And then Strategy and Tactics, an ad from the magazine. And this is published in Chicago. Now, I might have one of those around, I'm not sure. The World Gamers Guide, where can you find other gamers? Dawn of the Ancients, and this is for the publishers of Earthwood, a fantasy world of conquest and sorcery from Miami, Florida. And then we take a look at the convention calendar, so jump in your Wayback Machine, Mr. Peabody, and you can go to all these conventions. Nothing I've ever been to. Daredevils Have Adventures, from Fantasy Games Unlimited, and Chivalry and Sorcery. These are the same guys that brought us Space Opera. Continuing on, Game Master's Guide, the Dungeon Master Utilities, from Nichols Services, Columbus, Georgia. I never had that. More conventions coming up. And we're the other company, Rolaids, Mayfair Games out of Chicago, Illinois. These guys were interesting. They kind of came on the scene in the early 80s, and by the mid-80s, they were pretty much everywhere. The old club I belonged to, you couldn't pass a table without seeing at least one Rolade sitting somewhere in front of a player or a DM. I used some of their stuff. It was interesting, but ultimately you were converting so much, it was just easier to just take care of it yourself. Let's see. Christians, learn how to fight at the gates of hell. Wow, I don't remember this one. Okay, Adventure Learning Systems, Colorado Springs, Colorado. Interesting. How taxes take their toll. The King's collectors don't have it easy either. So you're running a game where you become a lord, you have 9th level fighter, and you've set up your keep, and now you've got to tax the people. Good article for that. Recon, the role-playing game of the Vietnam War. And this is out of Alvin, Texas. Continuing our article about taxation, be sure to label your letter to Dragon Magazine. The Outcasts from Raffin Miniatures. Priced to Kill. I don't think I have any of these guys. I always thought that was a cool set. Pongo Gutbag on Litter of Doom. I love the Litter of Doom. What's it do? Shoot lightning? It dooms you. It's pretty neat. The Ecology of the Cockatrice. I've had lots of fun with cockatrice over the years at my table. Ed Greenwood always writes a good ecology article. And then we have an ad for Bushido from Fantasy Games Unlimited. Continuing our article on cockatrice. Birth announcement. Southern California forms a new game company, a new game magazine, which needs new writers like you. The VIP of gaming magazines can be contacted at P.O. Box blah blah blah, Long Beach, California. I'm not familiar with these guys. Twilight 2000 from Game Designers Workshop. The bombs have dropped. Now it's up to you to stumble through the ruins. Continuing on, we've got a little bit of smear here, a little ink smear from the ad on this side. TSR, as they were going into 85 through 85, was having some financial difficulties. They tried to save a buck here and there by poor binding on Unearthed Arcana, which we all know about. And as we'll see next month with Dragon Magazine, we got really shoddy binding on those as well. The only dragons I have that are coverless. And here we've got some ink smear, which is usually a sign of doing something on the cheap. Get it all the easy way, Draco Digitalis. And this is all from a single source out of Burton, Washington. Experience a legend in TSR's first fantasy AD&D novel, which was Dragons of Autumn Twilight for Dragonlance. Read it, liked it in the time. It was good. Armory Dice, the world's largest selection. These guys were out of Baltimore, Maryland, and going to Illinois. Checking, of course, Games Plus right there. And that's it. Waukegan, I was never up that way. Waukegan's way north of me. It's almost the Wisconsin state line. Prices for the Roaring Twenties. A way to measure PC's purchasing power. And this is for TSR's Gangbuster games. I never played that. Right on. Got a question about an article? Go ahead and write it. Write your question and maybe they'll answer it. Anne McAfree's Dragon Riders of Perm come to life from Nova Game Design out of Manchester, Connecticut. Credit where credit is due, elaborating upon experience point rules. So what are experience points? Why do we need them? Why do we use them? I like experience points. I always have. I think they're important to a game like D&D. I use them in other games as well. I've even used them in Gamma World and Traveler to limited success. But experience points are really important in D&D. Joroon from Sky Realms Publishing, San Francisco, California. And as you've seen, the friends I had watching over in Nilder had to intervene on his behalf. Oh, okay. Continuing on our experience point article, hurry, you've got to join the Discount Buyers Group out of Springfield, Missouri. So hurry, otherwise they might be gone 40 years ago. Halt, Intruder, the Complete Strategist. These are a series of games on the United States East Coast. Game stores, rather. Some of these are still around, I've given to understand. I've never been to one. Continuing our article on experience points, we go to Cast Your Own Fantasy Figure from the Duncan Company out of Calvert, Texas. If Adventure has a game, it must be Indiana Jones, The Adventures of Indiana Jones from TSR. This was shortly after the Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom release. So there you go. The Many Shapes of Apes, giving primates the attention they deserve. I don't know why, but apes and monkeys are very popular at my table. My players really get a kick out of it. There's a legend that DC comic books in the 50s and 60s, if they had a title where the sales were flagging a little bit, they'd put a monkey on the cover and sales would go up. And there's actually statistics to prove it. I just thought that was kind of funny. Amazing science fiction stories. This is being published then by TSR. There was a TV series that came out shortly afterward. Interesting time. Available now. And this is from SPI War Games. All these different war games you could get. I was kind of not playing board war games at this time. We started out with that before D&D. We played several of the Avalon Hill, even a couple of Game Designers Workshop. But it's interesting. Out of Lake Geneva, Illinois. Are there some Dragon magazines missing from your lair? Here's your chance to order the back issues and help clean out TSR's warehouse. Cover price for these, that was pretty good. And this is going back to issue 69, that's pretty good. Plus the anthologies, that's not a bad deal. Into the Forgotten Realms. A tournament adventure for the AD&D game designed by Ed Greenwood. Forgotten Realms had been around in Dragon magazine since the earliest days of my reading Dragon, which goes back to 81. But I didn't know what the Forgotten Realms were. When Gygax left TSR in 85, 86, depending on what you want to count as his departure, they came up with a new world from Ed Greenwood called the Forgotten Realms, which of course is where things are set now. It was just a way of moving D&D away from Greyhawk. I played some Forgotten Realms. By the end of the 90s, I was kind of out of it. I moved everything. All the games I did then were in Greyhawk. But continuing on the adventure, Into the Forgotten Realms player character sheets. So we have some pre-planned characters, which is pretty sweet. And in the middle here, so you can pull them out if you want to hand to your players. Copiers were not a thing. They were not available easily. I worked in a couple places that had them, but they were not easy to get in the mid-80s. Continuing on, a very long adventure, but that's okay. I like that. Into the Forgotten Realms scoring system. So if you're doing it as a tournament, there you go. Battles above the dungeon. Basic combat tactics for wide open spaces. This is an area where the DM does usually need some help. The TSR printed rules and the Dungeon Master's Guide fall apart a little bit when you're doing an aerial combat. You as a DM have to kind of strap in and just kind of get ready to make a lot of rulings as the players are fighting. It's really funny when a player falls off of a Pegasus. But anyway, mobility. If you can get a flying steed, use it. Continuing on our article. And this is a guy that's got his attacks pre-planned. He's got his weaponry at hand. He can shoot his crossbow, throw his spear, throw an axe, and then engage in melee. As he's moving down from melee, mobility is just tremendously important in most games. And communication, talk to local wildlife. You get a lot of information there. And then continuing out our article, we go to an ad for Illuminati, the fast-paced, exciting new play-by-mail game from Adventure Systems out of Houston, Texas. And Duel Masters, tired of your old campaign? The arena series of cities of Alistaria are looking for a few good gladiators from reality simulations out of Tempe, Arizona. And no obligation, right for our free no obligation setup and rules. Looks like it was a play-by-mail. Desperate Acts, some little bit of fiction for you. Don't remember reading it. Sometimes I read the fiction, sometimes I didn't. It usually had to do with how busy I was. And apparently I didn't go back to this issue because I don't remember having read this. I'm not making a comment on the author or anything about the story. I just didn't read it. Coming attractions. What's coming out? This was exciting when they started doing this. No internet, folks. We didn't know what was coming out. We've got a Super Endless Quest Adventure Gamebook 1 coming out. Battle System, I've already talked about. Conan role-playing game. Was its own game for a little while there. The Seventh Seal Top Secret Game Module. Bane of Llewellyn. AD&D Game Module C5. Dragons of Ice. This is Dragonlance number 6, already out. Project Wide Awake, Marvel Superheroes game. Crimson Crystal. It was an Endless Quest book. Adventure 1 and then Adventure 2. And then we go to the Aries Science Fiction Gaming section. I loved this section. This was one of my favorite features of all time in Dragon Magazine. It's treated as its own little sub-magazine. You've got a table of contents, editorial, and then we've got the Zirakur Strike Back, Alien Starships for Star Frontiers Nighthawks Gaming. Love Star Frontiers. I love Nighthawks. I've played a little bit of Nighthawks. It's a fun, simple tabletop combat game. Endless Quest books ad from TSR. Those were really popular in the mid-'80s. Started in the late 70s with the actual Choose Your Path adventures. TSR got into it by this time. And then we finishing out our scenario for Star Frontiers. We have an ad for Worlds, Psionic Powers in your world from Fantasy Games Unlimited. Star Questions, answers and advice in the Gamma World game. And this would have been for Gamma World 2nd edition at this time. 3rd edition came out in 86. And then we have an ad for the Wizzy system from Nickel Services out of Columbus, Georgia. Love Star Questions. Oh, I must have copied this. This is an old bookmark that's been in there for 40 years. Anti-missiles and round shot, variant ship-to-ship weapons for Traveler Gaming. That's what I Xeroxed. As I said, I was working at a couple places that had Xerox machines. The Marvel File, Pumping Iron, Part 1. So if everything you wanted to know about mid-'80s Iron Man comic books are right here. And there he is. James Rhodes, Rhodey, was Iron Man at the time. Tony Stark was having some personal issues. And then it's Clobbering Time, an ad for the Marvel Superheroes game from TSR. The Dolphins of Known Space, a new race for the Ringworld game. I love dolphins, uplifted dolphins. They're just so much fun. Continuing the dolphins, we go to HawaiiCon 85, March 17th to 18th and 19th, and it's in Honolulu. So hop on your time machine and your time jet. Villains and Vigilantes, one of the first superhero role-playing games. This from Fantasy Games Unlimited. Hot new releases from the Ral Partha Fantasy Forge. We got all kinds of goodies from Ral Partha. Don't know if I have any of these. I have got him, I think. I've got that guy. And I think I've got that bear. They were out of Cincinnati, Ohio. The Gamer's Guide. So just a little personal ads, if you will, for gamers. Index to advertisers. Completing the forum, which was earlier on in the magazine. In Search of Adventure, Gen Con 18, August 22nd through the 25th, 1985. I actually was out of town working when that one came up. I was supposed to be back a week before it started, but I got trapped down in Florida. And my then girlfriend, then fiance, Jerry, we talked on the phone and she said, well, I don't know, we've got a whole group going. What do you want to do? And I said, well, by all means, you go. So she and a couple other of our players went to Gen Con 18 and I couldn't go. I was working. Wormy. Gotta love Wormy. Finishing out Wormy, we got 3 pages of Wormy this time. We get Dragon Mirth. I always like these. I like that, calculating our falling damage as they're falling down the pit. And then Snarf Quest. Finishing out 3 pages of Snarf Quest, we get Paranoia, a role-playing game of darkly humorous future from West End Games. I did play Paranoia, the original. It was interesting. It's something my players decided not to do in the new incarnation that's out there from I'm blanking on from Mongoose Publishing. Sorry about that, Mongoose. I wanted my players to get back into it, if they were interested, and I was going to buy the new edition, but they really didn't show any interest. My players generally don't like playing opposing each other. It's something that just ends up not being enjoyable for us, so I generally won't use that kind of game. And then Dare to Adventure in Middle-earth, the greatest fantasy world of all time. ICE presents 2 new campaign modules, Rangers of the North and Moria, the Dwarven City. This by Iron Crown Enterprises. They held the license for that for a long time. So there you have it. There's a look at Dragon number 95 from March of 1985, a mere 40 years ago. All yours for your enjoyment. Let me know what you think. Did you buy this issue? Did you like it? There's not a bunch. This is around the time that Dragon started getting to be more and more ads and less articles. It was tough to watch TSR go through the financial problems they had in the mid-'80s, and those lasted really through the '80s. it stayed a problem pretty much forward. But there you have it. Let me know what you think. Did you enjoy this issue? What do you, any comments or any thoughts? Please leave them below. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Also, tell your friends. I want to continue growing the channel. Also, take a look at the Patreon. See what you can do to help the channel out there if you enjoy these videos. And that's all I've got today on page 121. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.